Hey there guys, Davis here again, and today we're going to be working on how to make checkpoints in your game. So I have a simple game here where I have a platformer character that moves, and here where you see checkpoint 1, I'm going to pass that checkpoint. Okay, get checkpoint 2, pass the checkpoint, and get to checkpoint 3. Well, I passed it anyways, but we close the game and restart it, and you're going to see that it continues from checkpoint 3. So this is what we're going to be doing in this tutorial, which is really cool. And yeah, let's get right into it. So you are here, and I want to start the game again so that you guys can see that I just have a simple platformer character. I don't have any signs, I don't have anything. And yeah, we're going to be doing all that in this tutorial. This tutorial is going to be about 20 minutes or so, or 30 minutes, but I don't know, we'll just go on with how the wind blows us. So as you can see, I have a parallax background, nothing special. Yeah, let's go into what we need to do. First off, I have a character and the simple platformer script, and we're going to add a new scene. As you can see here, or if you didn't see, I have a sign sprite, and this is what going to be housing like our checkpoints and stuff like that. This is going to be like our checkpoints. So we're going to be adding another node, which is the area 2D, and we'll just call this checkpoints. Okay, and we're going to add a sprite and a collision shape. So the collision shape is going to be, I would have actually made it a new segment shape, which is a line, but I'm going to use it a rectangle shape just so that it will be better visible and everything will just be nice. So we're going to assign this sprite, this sign sprite, and if you put this in the scene from my preview, it actually looks too big. So I'm going to reduce the size to about 8.8. Yeah, I guess 8.8. So that reduces the size there. So the collision shape is going to be big, and when I say big, I mean massive. Okay, not really fat. We don't want it to be fat, we just want it to be tall, because we make sure that your player can't actually jump over this. Make sure it's long enough that your player can't jump over it, because if your player can jump over it, it's just be weird and stuff like that. If you have a platformer where there are kind of some some tiles on top here and other stuff, make sure that you have your checkpoint not so tall. Make sure that it's just covering like from here downwards and stuff like that, so that it's only when the player reaches here where that's when we're going to have the checkpoint and stuff like that. So yeah, if you have a simple platformer like me where it's just linear, you can go ahead and make it long enough that the player can't jump over it. So that's all we need to do for this scene. We're going to save it as checkpoint.tscn. And if you can, there are actually two ways to approach this. We're going to make another node. I'll just call this checkpoint container. So you can go ahead and instance this guy's checkpoint w, and just instance them manually around your scene. This will be checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, and all that stuff, but I'm going to go around this with code because I like automating my life and I don't like I don't like manual stuff. Okay, so placing it in there is kind of manual, and yeah, I don't really like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to give our game scene a script. We'll just say game.gd, and here we're just going to be putting some instancing code. First off, we make a variable, we'll call this checkpoint scene. So checkpoint scene will be equal to a preload. So we're going to preload the scene, which is going to be checkpoint.tscn. And yeah, make sure you do this at the start because we're going to be using this in a for loop later on. Yeah, I think that's all we need. And func underscore ready. So first off, we want to place a manual checkpoint, only one of them anyways, don't be scared. Just place only one checkpoint, and it's in front of the tile map, so I'm going to take it behind the tile map. Okay, so now that we have our manual checkpoints, this is what we're going to be using to actually get the position for yeah, all our remaining checkpoints. So what you're gonna do first is go up here and drag down so that we can get the y value, and as you can see it's 464, 469. I guess 465 would do. 465. And we'll go over here and we're going to use that 465 later. Let me just comment it out so that we won't forget. 465. So here we're going to say for I in range, yeah, so for I in range, and this is going to look through a range of numbers. So it's going to look through a range from 0 to whatever we put in this bracket. So now you're going to put in the number of checkpoints that you want in your game. So for example, I want 5 checkpoints in my game. I'm going to put in 5 here just so that I can have 5 checkpoints. So for the sake of this tutorial, I don't want to keep it. I don't want to make it super long. So we're going to use 5 checkpoints, and here we're just going to be loading instancing the scene. So we'll just say var checkpoint should be equal to checkpoint scene dot instance. So it's going to instance that scene, and next thing we want to do is we want to set the global position. The problem is we don't really have we don't want to set a particular global position for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to say global position equal to vector 2, because positions in Godot are vector 2. I think even in all game engines out there, that doesn't really matter. So this position that we want to set is going to be 465 on the y-axis, which is going to be constant. But on the x-axis, we want it to be like spreading with a particular amount of that, like with a particular value. So we're going to move this checkpoint somewhere around here. Anyways, it just depends. It all depends on you. If you want your checkpoints to be an instance, like between a number of like between a particular distance, like for example from here to here, from here to the same distance, what you're going to do is you're going to measure using the margin rulers here. You're just going to measure that, and this will be like a 1367, I think. So what you're going to do is we're going to say 1367 plus, okay, yeah, multiplies by I plus 1. Now we're going to put this I plus 1 in the bracket, and at the end here for the second one, which is the Y value, we're just going to put in that 465 that we measured earlier. 465. So this is constant. So now how does all this work? So I'm just going to increase my font here so that I can really explain. It's going to set the global position to this value. So the x value is going to be I plus 1. At the first for loop, the first time it's going to loop, the I is going to be equal to 0. So I plus 1 will be equal to 1, and 0 plus 1 will be equal to 1. And 1 times this will give us our first checkpoint. Then it comes again, it becomes 2, 2 plus, sorry, it becomes 1. 1 plus 1 will give us 2. 2 times this will give us our second checkpoint. That's how it keeps going, and it just keeps adding the same value. So if you don't actually want it like this, I think I over zoomed out. Yeah, if you don't want it like this, you can also make a variable var, let's say sign underscore pose, and just set it to like 0. Then here you just add sign, you just, yeah, just say sign pose should be plus equals 1360, whatever that is. Okay, 1367. And here you just assign it to signpost. But I'm not going to do that because I like complex mathematics. And yeah, if you, yeah, I like complex mathematics. So here, what you see, 4 5 6, yeah, that works. That's for our y value, and our y value is constant. So next thing we want to do is we want to add it as a child. So we're just gonna call the checkpoints container dot add child, and we're going to add the checkpoint to it. If you don't really understand anything what I really said here, you can go on my Discord or go into comment section and just comment your problem. Okay, so we're done with this. and it's gonna save it. I think this should be all we need. So go ahead. We're gonna delete this guy and F6. So yeah, for some reason I'm not seeing my player. I'm not seeing anything, and I don't know why that is. So I think okay. I now found my problem. I'm sorry I got too excited. What I was meant to do was I was meant to say checkpoint the global position should be equal to that, not the game's global position. So yeah, I think this is nicer and it will work better. Now we can go and we're gonna see our checkpoint there. That's our first checkpoint. See the second one, and it keeps going until we reach the fifth one. But you can see our checkpoint is kind of blank, so we want to fix that so that we can really keep track of the number of checkpoints. So on the checkpoint here, I'm gonna add a label, and I'll just say like checkpoint one. I'm going to move this over here just so that it can be look so that it can look like it was written on the wood. Yeah, I think yeah. So we'll go back to our game, and if we instance this again, you see that all our checkpoints will have checkpoints one, checkpoint one, checkpoint one, and we don't want that. We want it to have one, two, three, four, respectively. So what we're going to see here is we're going to say checkpoints dot get node. So we're going to get the label node. Where is it? There it is. Label dot text should be equal to checkpoint plus I plus 1. Why are we saying I plus 1? Because as I said before, I will most likely, okay, sorry, say I plus I str I plus 1. I think, yeah, that will work. So why are we saying I plus 1? Because as I said before, we have, at the first time it's going to be a 0 and we want it to be a 1. So meaning we want it to be our first checkpoint. And again, just gonna do that again till it reaches 4, and when it reaches 4 it's going to break the loop, and yeah, that will work. So we're gonna try this again. F6. I'm gonna move checkpoint 1. I'm gonna move again checkpoint 2, and it just keeps going like that. Checkpoint 3 till it reaches checkpoint 4. No, yeah, till it reaches checkpoint 5. I'm just gonna check that, and checkpoint 5 is on the air there. See, checkpoint 5. So that's it. Next thing we need to do is we want to be able to save and load our uh yeah, our position when we hit the checkpoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an area 2D. So we say area 2D. But to avoid this, there is another thing we can do, which is giving the checkpoint a script and say if body entered, sorry, yeah, if body entered is the player, then we want to call just a method in the player. I think I'm going to do that instead. So we're going to make a new script file, a new script. We're just going to call this globe, and yeah, just going to create that. I'm going to inherit the node, and I'm going to make it an auto-loaded script so that it gets loaded on the screen every time. So yeah, I'm going to say global.ed, and we're going to add this in our auto-load so that we can call this from anywhere in the from any script. So we're going to go back to our checkpoint, give this a script, and here we're just going to say we're going to connect some signals before that anyways. On body entered, we're going to say if body the name is equal to player, sorry, we're going to put this in quotes. Yeah, so if we're touching the player right now, we want to call body dot, let's say hit underscore checkpoint. So hit underscore checkpoint is going to be a method that we're going to call in this player script. So it's going to be like a function that we're going to call in this player script. Here we see func underscore, func hit underscore checkpoint. So whenever we hit the checkpoint itself is going to call this function in the player script. We go back to our global, and here we are going to put in some save and load code. I don't know why I haven't really I don't want to waste your time, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. So yeah, I'm done with copying the code, and as you can see, we have a nice save and load system here where we have a new file. This is actually the name of the file that is going to be saved. So the name of the file is saved. You can change this to whatever you want, but you just have to leave it in user. You can actually save this in the res folder, but we don't want that, but so we'll save it here in the user. Save this also in the user, and yeah, everything will work nice. So what yeah, we made a function, a variable called checkpoint position, and anytime we call this save data, is going to save this variable in this file. So that's all you need to know. Don't want to go into depth of all that works. And anytime we call load data, is going to get this variable. Yeah, we're going to get variable that was saved inside there and still pass it to the same variable and all that stuff. So that's all. We go back to our player, and where we say hit checkpoint. If you actually want to go deep into how all the save and load stuff works, I think I'm going to make a separate tutorial for that, how to save and load files in Godot. So we're going to go back to our player, and we're just going to call global globe anyways globe dot load data. So at that point we want to load data, and we're going to say again globe dot, where is it, globe dot checkpoint pose. The checkpoint pose should be equal to our present global position, and globe dot save data. So we're going to load the data first, put this in that variable, and we're going to save the data. So we'll have to add the .x beside it, so that yeah, that works. So it's going to save this checkpoint pose as this variable. So it's going to get the global position, the x at that period of time, and it's going to save it inside this checkpoint position variable, and yeah, that's work. We'll go over again to the ready func underscore ready, so that we can just keep on coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, so that the next time that we load the game, it's going to continue from that particular position that we saved. So we'll go again, globe the load data, and our global position the x this time around, it's just going to be the reverse of this. So our global position the x right now, when we start the game again, it's not going to be at this start position. It's going to be at the point that we saved it. So we say global globe the checkpoint pose. So this will just continue from where we stopped. Like if we stopped at a particular position, it's going to continue from there. So we'll try this by hitting F6, and yeah, hopefully what we've done will pay off. Remove, okay, as you saw, as at the start of the game, it's actually instance here, and actually that's a bug kind of, so we're going to fix that. But anyways, we're going to try our save system. If it works, that's checkpoint 1 gone, checkpoint 2, yeah. So I'm going to exit the game now and hit F6 again, just so that we can check. It continues from checkpoint 2, and if you notice, it continues from exactly the point, the middle point of the checkpoint 2. So that's not what we want again, and we're going to change that. So here we just say plus, for example, we just say like plus 50. So we want to start like in front of the checkpoint kind of, so that we can have better effect. We're going to hit F6, try again. And you can see it's going to continue from checkpoint 2, but in front of it kind of. So I like this, like how this works. If you don't want it this way, if you don't want to actually save the data, what you can do is just get rid of all this our save and load code and all that stuff, and then yeah, it's worked nicely, especially if you have an auto load system. Just have the variable, all these other ones doesn't work. That's if you don't want to save the checkpoint. So I think this should be nice. This is all we need, and we have come up with something cool. But if you want to like delete that file, you can go over here to open project data folder. Over here the project, open project data folder, and the folder here you can just go ahead and delete this guy from the, yeah, from the game, sorry, from the folder. And if you try this again, you see that it will start from the beginning of the game, not much, not checkpoint 2 anymore. So yeah, this nice stuff. I really like this. As I said, this doesn't actually take much to set up. It's kind of easy. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section or go on my Discord and I'll be happy to help you there. Always goodbye, and please subscribe, please like this video and invite your friends. Thanks for watching again, and goodbye.